So at the beginning of the month, we had Khabib versus Conor McGregor. We saw probably one of the biggest brawls in UFC history. The weekend just gone. Have we seen something to rival it? We saw Jose Mourinho go absolutely crazy on the sideline as one of Chelsea's assistants ran past him and celebrated and said something. Guys, you know what it is. We're back with another preview to the Premier League and a review show. I'll be talking about Jose Mourinho's antics and much more. Welcome to the Sanderson Show. So last weekend, the weekend kicked off with the big fixture of the weekend. It was Chelsea versus Manchester United, and it wasn't a dull affair at all. It was actually a really good football match. Chelsea took the lead after Rudiger scored from a corner after Paul Pogba lost his man. A lot was made of it, and I actually think there's a lot of harsh criticism that went to Paul Pogba. If you actually watch the goal back, David Luiz actually does a really good job of blocking Paul Pogba, and Rudiger just gets that 2 yards on him, and once you get 2 yards on anyone in the box, if the ball's on point, then you're more than likely to score from it. So yes, Pogba should have stayed with his man, but I don't think it was as clear and as cut dry as some pundits made it out to be. But this is unfortunately what happens. Paul Pogba makes a mistake and sometimes it's blown out of proportion. But Manchester United fought back and were really valiant. I mean, their first goal came through a bit of controversy. Marcos Alonso seemed as though he was pushed in the box, but in my opinion it didn't seem that bad. It looked like he could have actually got back up and he chose to stay down. It wasn't a head injury, so Manchester United didn't do anything illegal. Sportsmanship, maybe, maybe not, but Martial, deadly in front of goal. This goal was excellent, and not just because it was so close and it was a volley, but what actually made the goal was his first touch. The ball got really fizzed into him and he killed the ball dead. And then to finish it the way he did, he's a top marksman. And then the second goal comes from a good breakaway from Manchester United, a good counter-attack. David Luiz throws himself at the ball, which is what he does. Completely mistimed it. No spatial awareness, no defensive awareness. Ball gets played over, and Martial again, it looked a bit as though this touch wasn't meant. He knocked it a bit ahead of himself, but the way he's able to wrap his foot around the ball, just great technique, and just shows what Martial can do. And I mean, he's made a few headlines recently, rejecting a new contract, etc. We don't know what's going to happen there, but for me, he's a player that Manchester United needs to hold on if they want to keep on progressing through the future. But then this is where things really kicked off. Ross Barkley got an equaliser, and then all hell broke loose. Mourinho lost his temper. And then for about 4 or 5 minutes, there was just a fracas on the touchline. And it's fun to watch, but at the same time, it's not a great advert for English football. And this is the one time where you've kind of got to side with Jose Mourinho. I mean, he has his critics, and yes, he doesn't cover himself in glory half the time. But let's be honest, if you're sitting there after watching your team battle back from being 1-0 down to grab a 2-1 lead, and you're a couple of seconds away from securing a massive victory and inflicting Chelsea's first loss of the season, and then you see yourself concede, and then you see someone run across you, not once but twice, and celebrate, you're going to lose your temper. So Jose, for me, he didn't do anything wrong there. I'd have reacted the same. Millions of others would have reacted the same as well, and it was just a shame that that was the lasting memory of the match. And then obviously him going past the Chelsea fans holding up 3 and saying, I need more respect. That's typical Jose Mourinho. I take that with a pinch of salt, because he believes that the world owes him something sometimes, and that wasn't really necessary. But, you know, it happened. It was a good game. This coming week, Chelsea are playing Burnley away, which last season I'd have said would be a really tough game, but Burnley just don't seem as on it as they were last season. I expect Chelsea to go out and do the business. Sarri ball's picking up momentum. They're keeping the ball really well. That midfield three of Jorginho, Kovacic and Kante just seems to be so solid. They've got a right blend and mix in there. You've got Kante, who just hunts and hunts and hunts. You've got Jorginho who gets the ball and he spreads it like butter. And then you've got Kovacic's energy and his chemistry with Eden Hazard on the left-hand side of the pitch, and he's able to drift in and out of the lines and create as well as score goals. So they've got a really nice blend in there. Obviously Hazard's still the key to this team, and you actually saw one thing in the last game is when he's not firing, Chelsea do look a bit toothless. So it'll be interesting to see how Burnley try and set up against Hazard and whether they try and block him out of the game. I don't think they'll be able to. I do think Chelsea will have too much for them. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difficult game either. I think Chelsea will win comfortably and they'll continue to march on and they'll be joint top of the league. And then you also have Manchester United versus Everton. Two teams that aren't in great form at the moment. But at Old Trafford, I completely expect Manchester United to beat Everton. Everton just really seem toothless up front, and I think if you're going to give Manchester United sleepless nights, you're going to need an attack that can put them on the back foot and really threaten them, and I don't think Everton have that. They've got good industry, they're decent team, decent footballing team, especially under Marco Silva, but they haven't really got anyone or anything in that squad that really stands out to me and suggests that they're going to give Manchester United trouble. So again, I see that being a comfortable victory for Manchester United. But guys, as always, let me know what you think. Everton going to spring a surprise? Are Burnley going to make Turf Moor into a horrible place to play football again for the opposition? Let me know in the comments below. So now guys, I'm going to talk about Tottenham and Manchester City. So I'm going to focus on their last game. So Manchester City against Burnley. What can you say? They turned up and absolutely destroyed Burnley. And it would have been more. Joe Hart actually had a really good game, but he was powerless to stop any of the 5 goals. And Manchester City, not Manchester United. They don't play free-flowing football attacking wise. Silly me, apologies. Manchester City just showed their attacking strength, and to think that Sterling didn't even start this game and he's one of their top goal scorers. Gabriel Jesus was on the bench, Mahrez was on the bench, and Kevin De Bruyne was on the bench, and it's just phenomenal. What they do and what they have at Manchester City is just a philosophy backed with quality players. In some other clubs you've got the philosophy and you haven't got the players. In other clubs you have the players and not the philosophy. Manchester United. But Manchester City, they seem to have the perfect blend, and again, I just don't see anyone stopping them. I cannot see past them winning the league, especially now Kevin De Bruyne is back, and it's just going to be a matter of time before he kicks into gear and starts creating and scoring fantastic goals. And then on the other side of the coin, you look at Tottenham, who they'll be playing this week, and Tottenham still haven't hit form. I mean, granted, a strong result against West Ham, a London derby, always going to be a difficult game, and they came through and they secured the 3 points, which is what they were expected to do and what they should be doing. And it was never going to be an easy game, and they came through it and they picked up the points. But I look at them at the moment and the form they're in, and I can't see them giving Man City any problems. Even in the Champions League, again, they're 2-2 up against PSV and they they drop the lead, and it's like, what's going on at Tottenham? This is not the Tottenham I'm used to seeing. And again, people are going to say, well, they haven't signed anyone. I agree, there's no one fresh there, but at the same time, they've not lost anyone either. So there should be more cohesion, there should be more togetherness than there was last season. And it seems like there's less. Hugo Lloris hasn't been covering himself in glory recently either. And for a little while now, he's been making mistakes and it's been overlooked. Even in the World Cup final, he made a massive mistake, but it's been overlooked because the team's been picking up results, which is fair enough. I mean, Alisson Becker did it against Leicester City and it was forgotten about because Liverpool still picked up the 3 points. But it comes to a point where you are going to start making mistakes and it is going to start costing the team, and this is what happened in the Champions League. Now for the game with Tottenham Man City, Tottenham do raise their game against higher profile opposition a lot of the time. I just don't know if they can raise it enough and kick into form quick enough for this game. Man City are in very, very good form. And one thing we've noticed from Pep Guardiola, he's starting to adapt differently to different teams. Last season he came to Anfield and he basically got outplayed every single time because of his so-called arrogance to not wanting to change. This season was very different. He set up very differently and he stifled Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. I think he's going to do the same against Pochettino. I don't think he's going to go there all gung-ho. I think he'll play a strategy whereby he tires Tottenham out, and then I think he'll bring on players to go for the kill. Don't be surprised if this is 0-0 at 60, 70 minutes and then Pep Guardiola makes a couple of substitutions and Man City run away with the game. Likewise, don't be surprised if they take an early lead and then dominate and then continue to score more goals. This is not me writing Tottenham off. I still rate Tottenham. I still think they'll finish in the top 4 this season. I just think Man City are just a cut above at the moment, and I just don't see anyone coming close to them. And unfortunately, Tottenham are next in their sights, and I see them beating Tottenham and beating Tottenham quite handily. But guys, if you disagree with me, I've got a good few friends who are Tottenham supporters who are probably watching this and thinking I'm going to give Callum a call later or send him a horrible WhatsApp message. Let me know what you think. Do you think Tottenham are going to spring a surprise and beat Manchester City, or do you think Man City are just going to keep on marching forward and increasing on their fantastic goal difference? Let me know in the comments below. So now I move on to Liverpool. What can I say? Wasn't a pretty game to watch against Huddersfield. Really, really frustrating game actually. I watched the game with one of my friends who's also a Liverpool fan, and we were sitting there and we wanted the game to be over. And it's not often I've said that, especially on the clock, but it was a horrible game to watch. Now, again, we grind out the result, which is something Liverpool haven't done over the years. So I'm more than happy with that. And if it means us winning the league and we just win every game 1-0 from now to the end of the season, I'll take that. But ultimately, that can't happen and that won't happen. So I watched that game and the first thing that came to me was, has this front three lost their mystique? And they're just not cohesive. Now, granted, in the Champions League, they played a lot better together. All three of them got on the score sheet, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's Red Star Belgrade. Like, they should all be on the score sheet. So that goes without saying. But I watched this game and they, again, look so disjointed. We are lacking the pass before the pass, or the pass before the shot. And Shaqiri showed signs of it in the last 2 games of being able to be that person. But to rely just on one person, it's a lot to do. And that's why there was so much clamour for someone like Nabil Fekir to come in the summer and actually be that creative spark. Because what we're seeing now is Liverpool's front three are dropping so deep that it's so much easier to defend against. And if this continues, teams are going to start figuring Liverpool out, and then you're putting a lot more pressure on the defence. But at the same time, the defence is a lot stronger than it was last season. Now, in the last game, Lovren started, and with all due respect to Dejan Lovren, I don't want to see him start for Liverpool anymore. I think we've progressed past Lovren and Matip. I actually want to see Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk develop this partnership, because whenever they played, they've complemented each other brilliantly. And you look at Joe Gomez in the Huddersfield game, and honestly, he was doing 2 jobs. He was right back and he was covering Lovren more than he should have been. And for me, it just says that Joe Gomez should be an established centre-back now, and it should be Trent or Klein playing right back. I don't want to see Lovren come in and a right back dropped and Joe Gomez pushed out there. For me, it doesn't make sense. And it'll be interesting to see how he lines up in the next game against Cardiff. I mean, they'll be at home, so again, you'd expect Liverpool to be on the front foot. You'd expect Cardiff to be defending quite a lot. And when you've got teams like that, you need someone who can deliver something different. So Trent is that player. He's got a good delivery. He's got a better delivery than Gomez. He gets into better positions than Gomez because he's naturally better attacking than Gomez. So it'll be interesting to see how Klopp develops that dynamic. And also Shaqiri, is he going to be that player who now comes into midfield and starts to be that creator for Firmino, Mane and Salah? It'll be interesting to see what happens in that game. Neil Warnock, by all accounts, has already written Cardiff off. Whether that's mind games or not remains to be seen. But again, I expect Liverpool to win. I expect this one to be a comfortable win as well. I expect a 3 or 4-0 win. Whether it happens or not, we'll see. Whether the front three click or not, we'll see. But they have to, because the game after this is Arsenal, and I'm going to get to Arsenal in a minute, and if they don't click for that game, then there could be massive problems. So again, short and sweet for me when it comes to Liverpool. Don't want to come across too biased, but guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Has the front three lost their mystique, or are they just going through a mini crisis at the moment, and they'll come out on the other side and they'll be back to firing ways? Alright guys, so now I move on to Arsenal Football Club, and the Emery evolution just continues to take strides forward. Now, you know what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about Arsenal's third goal, and wow. I waxed lyrical about Aaron Ramsey's goal, and within the space of a week, they bettered that goal. What a goal this was. I literally can't find any faults in this goal. This goal should not have been shown before 9 o'clock in the evening, because it should have been put on off the watershed. What a goal. It just, from the start, Ozil's flick in the middle of the park, then his flick over the goalkeeper, beautiful. And I find myself doing this more and more often, but well done Arsenal. Again, another fantastic goal. And it just shows me that the confidence is coming back. I look at someone like Iwobi, for example, who had a great game and was driving down the wing, cutting back, nutmegging players, and you weren't seeing that last season. And it just shows what can happen when you have a good coach and a bit of confidence. And you just seen it, and Arsenal are really starting to hit some good form. Now, they're on, I believe, 11 straight wins at the moment, which is absolutely excellent. But at the same time, if you're going to play devil's advocate, they haven't played anyone of note in those 11 games. Anyone who's really going to push them back or have them play with their backs against the wall. They're all games they're expected to win. Now, granted, you still have to go out and win those games, so nothing but credit from me. But the acid test will be Liverpool next week, in my opinion. I mean, they've got Crystal Palace away from home, and again, that will be a difficult game. But again, with Crystal Palace, you know what to do. You shut down Zaha, you shut down Crystal Palace. And I think Arsenal are more than capable of doing that. But at the moment, Arsenal are playing some of the best attacking football in the league. I mean, the only team that rivals them with attacking football right now is Manchester City. But their team goals this season have been on a different level. And if they continue to do this, they're going to have goal of the season all to themselves at the end of the season, because they are taking the mick. Teams can't get close to them. They're picking up pockets of space. Cute little flicks, cute little tricks at the right times, at the right moments, and everything is just meshing really well together. Now, what can make this difficult against Crystal Palace is that Crystal Palace, I think, are going to sit deep. The only way they're going to be able to continue to score goals like this is if they are able to draw Crystal Palace out. So it means they'll need to get the first goal in the game, in my opinion. Otherwise, it's going to be a very difficult afternoon. But again, Arsenal's confidence is high. They're scoring great goals. There's Aubameyang, Lacazette scoring goals for fun. Even Danny Welbeck's getting in on the act. I didn't think I'd be saying that. But they're doing what they're having to do, and they're winning games. They're not just winning games, they're winning games comfortably, convincingly, and they're making it look really pretty. So nothing but kudos to Arsenal for me. I think they're going to win at the weekend. Arsenal fans, I'm hearing a lot more from you these days now that you're winning. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are Crystal Palace going to put out the fire of the Gunners? I don't think so. Let me know what you think. But guys, that's it from me today. You'll see me on the other side after all the games. And as always, thanks very much for listening. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching the Sanderson Show.